Welcome back to Lois and Ed's Ramblings.
Is that what we're calling it, is it?
I reckon.
I like that flamboyant start. We are in Cambodia. Sweaty Cambodia.
But look how authentic that is. We've got some water buffalo in the background. We've got some lovely Cambodian music playing.
Yeah, being played by the crew that got blown up by the landmines. So my lot.
Your lot.
But they're raising money
The disabled crew.
There's still loads of landmines left over from the war in the 70s, which is pretty bad. So fortunately we haven't managed to find any, but those guys had.
We would like to talk about a topic that isn't really spoken about much in the Western world. And I guess being out here, we've thought about it a bit more. And obviously my life, having a bit of a turn with my dad passing away. And that topic is death.
Literally a week ago.
Yes, a week ago.
But we've spent a lot of time walking around temples here. There's some unbelievable temples in Cambodia, including Angkor Wat, but also we're actually at a temple complex now in the middle of the jungle. And it gets you thinking how the different religions here, it's 95% Buddhist, but a lot of these temples from 1,000 years ago are Hinduism. So the way that they see death is very different to the way we see it in the Western world. And I think my opinion of death, subconsciously or consciously, has massively changed since my accident, or since thinking I was going to die, or did die for a bit. So me and Lois have been chatting about it a bit over the last few days, so we wanted to share that with you, our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, I think initially, like before your accident, I'd never even really thought about it. Like it just, I was brought up very atheist, just thought like one day you just die. And everything just stops, which is quite scary actually when it's like that. But yeah, since Ed's accident, we kind of dived into a bit more spirituality, didn't we? Like I didn't even know what that word meant in particular. So.
No, definitely as a young bloke, rugby player, my dad was actually religious, not like practicing in terms of we went to church every Sunday, but I've been christened and I wasn't like against religion in any way, but I'd never really thought of it. I'd say probably more of agnostic than atheist, but definitely got a lot more spiritual. I was asking, what does that mean? Because a lot of the values of Buddhism, Hinduism, yes, they worship deities and gods, but it's actually about the practice and the way you live life. And I know all religion is like that. But my main takeaway from waking up in hospital and going, well, that was nearly the end of it, wasn't, oh God, I'm terrified of dying. It was almost the opposite. It was like, well, actually, I could die tomorrow. I'd never thought that before. And it made me want to start living more. And that's exactly the same approach that many other cultures, other than us in the Western world, see death. They see it as a transient thing. It's a passing through. It's not something to be scared of. And they remind themselves of death regularly, celebrate it. We've just been in a temple here that celebrates the god of destruction, Shiva, and a lot of it is to do with remembering to keep living whilst you're here, because death is coming, and we spend so much time trying to delay death.
Or being so scared of it,
being scared of death as well. And that means when it happens, it kind of feels unfair, and you start protecting yourself during your life and not taking risks or putting yourself out there or living in the moment. And actually it has the opposite effect. It means you've just got less life, but maybe not actually dying. Yeah,
that's one of your like main quotes out of the film The Mountain Within Me, isn't it? That you're not scared of dying, you're scared of not truly living. And like since learning that,
I am still quite scared of dying, by the way. That's quite natural. Like if a tiger jumped out of this hedge right now, I would be
obviously.
Eat me, that'd be a nice experience, or an interesting one.
No, I think it can still be sad as well. Like, I've definitely not stood here today just being like, oh, it's going to be fine. Like,
should we head back towards the temple? Show people.
We can go this way.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a viewing platform over there.
Yeah.
Because we'll loop round, won't we? Welcome to the decisions of Ed and Lois Jackson.
I just feel like we've looked at the temple, but people watching this might like to see it. But actually, we can just put a picture over this now, can't we?
Here's the temple.
Yeah.
I've lost my train of thought now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, no. So what's your opinion of death? Like, your dad's just passed away, right? And it was a weird one because you had not really considered... No, you'd already thought about it for quite a long time, right? Because of his situation. So when it actually happened, it wasn't so much of a shock.
Yeah. And I think the emotional side of it, I'd already grieved my dad in some way because he wasn't the bloke who I remember as my father at the end. So I've kind of already gone through that process, and I think that's why I'm able to talk about it more freely now. But I mean, this has been a recent thought of mine, to be honest, that the body will finish, the body will end, the body will die, but actually I think a spirit lives on in us, which might sound really woo-woo, and honestly, Lois 10 years ago would have laughed at this Lois, but I think that also makes it a lot easier and more peaceful when somebody does pass away, is that they live on. And if we don't believe in a spirit, if we're more scientific, then there's also a lot more science now to suggest that the energy could continue, even if that continues in me and my brother, or it continues with him being reincarnated, if it was Buddhist, for example. And
what would Steve be reincarnated as?
A can of Stella.
He would love that.
It probably is a dog. He absolutely loved dogs, didn't he?
Dogs better than humans.
Yeah.
But I think the honest answer is, right now, and probably in our lifetime, we don't have any idea what happens on the other side. And my experience of dying was, it was very relaxing. And you just kind of feel like you're nodding off. And the thing is, if you did die, you just hope it's not a painful, drawn-out death.
Exactly.
Which is actually what we tend to do to ourselves in the West by dragging it on through modern medicine or whatever it might be, or giving up on living a healthy life from a young age and whatever it might be. But it's sad for other people. It's not sad for you, because the lights will go out the same way you fall asleep and you won't know anything else.
Yeah.
Or you'll end up on this mystical journey on the other side through...
Either way, it's all right.
Either way, it's fine.
It is. I think that's when Dad passed away. You're sad for the memories that you're not going to have with that person when you're the one that's left behind. But my dad was in quite a bad way, so I knew that the memories that I would be creating with him would be quite few and far between. And I also saw a lot of pain in his future. So actually that made him passing a lot more peaceful and a lot easier. Whereas my mum has also been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and she's still so fit and well, isn't she? I think we're going to turn around.
Do you?
Or just
I think
crack
this goes
on.
in a loop.
Yeah, well I think these go.
Hey.
Are we okay to continue?
Yeah, I think it goes in a loop. Yeah.
Fine. We're just walking off into the Cambodian wilderness.
You may never be serious again.
But yeah, I think I've got a lot more memories to make with my mum, and because she loves life so much, that it will be really sad when she passes away.
But she also loves life more now that she's had a terminal diagnosis.
Yeah, it's funny how it takes that, isn't it?
Yeah, it often takes having to contemplate death to actually start living. And I remember doing a podcast with Owen Kane, who's head psychotherapist at the NHS, but he spent a lot of time in palliative care, and he was saying on people's deathbeds, all of them just regret, watch out, motorbikes, regret what they haven't done, not what they have. Should we turn around?
Yeah.
We're going to...
We're going to the locals.
Going to the locals. They regret what they haven't done, not what they have. And I think, then you start living more, or you start appreciating the things that you took for granted more, and living more presently, and taking more chances, and going on more adventures, whatever it might be. So it's I think that's kind of what's going on with these other cultures, whether it be ancient cultures or Buddhism, Hinduism, or even Stoicism, which talks about memento mori, like every day remembering that death is coming. That's not in a negative way. It's not supposed to scare you. It's supposed to keep you present and make you appreciate and live your life now. And I think people often, when they get a shot across the bow, whether it be being resuscitated or getting a terminal diagnosis, whatever it might be, they start to live now and they actually start to embrace life a lot more. And it's just like, how do you recognise and realise that sooner so it doesn't take something catastrophic to push you to that boundary? And I think changing our relationship with death is one way to do that, like actively reminding ourselves that death is coming and it's inevitable for all of us, and ruminating on that actually makes you live more. It doesn't just make you scared of death. Trying to ignore it and push it away makes, when it happens, the inevitable happens, that you do start to die, because we all do, makes it a lot scarier.
Yeah. I think, do you reckon that's why when we go to these countries, like we're currently in Cambodia, we go to Nepal a lot, and we always just say the people are so happy.
Yeah.
And it is normally like the Buddhist, Hindu religions that do seem to just be a lot chirpier. I mean, there's probably a lot going on with that, isn't there? Like the way of life in the UK is pretty miserable at times. But you can still have that choice to see the positive in each day, don't you?
I think if they live presently, because they're not thinking about living forever, which if you ignore death, you do think that. If you think you're living forever, subconsciously you live to accumulate more money, more things. Yeah. Because
which is
one
what
day
we're taught.
when we get to that point, we've got more money and more things, we'll be happy. Whereas they're like, well, death could be coming tomorrow, so we'll just live for the moment. And they live for depth of experience rather than accumulation of things.
Yeah.
And I think that does come down to, a lot of the time, their relationship with death and not being scared of it. But by death, you could change that word for life. Like relationship with life and living. And I think it's a big thing that like no one really addresses or talks about.
I think the only time when it's really hard to think this way is when like a child passes away, isn't it?
There's no good in death. You don't want people to die. You want people to live whilst they're alive, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
Nice view.
Show people the lily pads.
Ooh. I feel like you know when you're on a gym bike and they've got like the like Segway camera that follows them. That's what I feel like we're taking you on.
So this is actually a lake with lilies, but most of the land here is wetlands, and it's rice paddies. 85% of this country are farmers, and they produce like, I don't know, what is it, 4,000 to 6,000 tons of rice a year or something mad.
It's a lot of rice. Not my favourite carb, to be honest.
It's full of water buffalo and snakes and farmers.
You know how many facts Ed has put me through on this trip? It's a lot. So I'm glad that we can share the load here.
I've made them all up as well. I'm going to wait till she notices.
So death can be positive. No.
Thinking about death is positive. Thinking about death
can
is
be
positive.
Death will be positive when I kill you.
I'm glad this is going in.
Yeah.
Everyone just go and die. Actually, don't do that.
Obviously it's a sad thing though, isn't it? Like I don't think we can take that away from people, like from feeling the emotion and being able to like grieve. But actually that's another thing that the Buddhists do. Instead of like fighting the emotions, you can actually witness your emotions when somebody dies and not let it completely take hold of your life. Like just be aware of it. I think that's like meditation in general, isn't it?
Yeah. But I agree, death can be positive. Actually, now you've said that, I think your dad passing away was, it was terrible that it got to that point, and he didn't deserve for it to get to that point. But when it came to that final 3 years, and then this is the whole conversation about optional like euthanasia and stuff. But like he was in so much pain that he didn't want to be here anymore.
No.
He said that. So there is a point where death can be kind. But I think.
You never want it to get to that point.
You just don't want it to get to that point. But we're all going to die at the end of the day.
But again, like I would say that my dad didn't have the capability to view life in a positive light in a lot of ways, did he? Like, we'd often talk about like finding the joy, and he really struggled to do that because he was in so much kind of physical and emotional pain. So
Yeah.
I think that's a reason as well why we like love what we do with M2M so much, because like that's a huge passion of mine. I never want anybody to get to that point where they
Don't
feel like
there's
that. They don't feel like there's any
anything to live for.
joy. Yeah, exactly.
And there's always something to live for if you can. There's always your people out there. There's always something. There's always light at the end of the tunnel if you can keep going. And I just think that when people lose that, lose the sight on that light, that's quite sad. But I think, again, having a relationship with death, or like understanding it, and not as necessarily as a negative in the first place, would help people in those situations.
Yeah.
Because there is more of an acceptance before you get there. But actually, look, this is getting a bit morbid. It's more around the message of like living life and embracing it while it's here, because we're all going to die at some point, and it might be tomorrow. Like, tomorrow is not a given. So follow your gut, chase your dreams, get out there, say yes to stuff. Like, there's so many examples of things that I would have said no to pre-realising this, that I've now said yes to, that have just like led my life in so many weird and wonderful directions. And that is down to sort of a gratitude and a perspective of like feeling lucky to be alive. And that is what ruminating on death does.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I agree. And like, it's actually quite a strange feeling when you can separate that, like, and not fight it. I think, like, obviously
over in the background.
Just happened to me, but I do feel at peace. I mean, I'm not to say that it won't hit me in other ways, and like, you know, there are, you know, if you died, I don't know what I'd do. Like, I think when it's in the wrong order, it's it's pretty tough. And I mean, there's a lot of death that feels unjust, doesn't it? But I just do, and I'm a massive believer, is just like the more you hold on to that fight and the negative emotions, the more then it affects your own life, and the more then you're not living.
Death is made extra horrific in our Western world because of the way we view it.
Yeah.
Like, we're not saying it's not a bad thing. Like,
No.
we're just saying that, like, yeah, I mean, we've said it over and over again. It's about living life properly.
Live life. Live life.
This way. Let's head back in the general direction of home. We have no idea where we are now, so if this is the last video you ever see of us, we're somewhere in Cambodia. Come find us.
Anything you'd like to add?
Not particularly. I mean, it's a big topic, isn't it? Everyone's got their own opinions on it. I'm not going down the euthanasia wormhole.
No.
That is it's a tough one, but
Maybe I took you to this temple and
you're going to sacrifice me.
Yeah. They do a bit of that, don't they, over here?
I'm ready for it.
Sacrifice you and then drink your blood.
They don't sacrifice people here, do they?
No,
Did they?
sacrifice animals.
Should we show people the temple?
Yeah, there's the doors over here.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it does surprise me how much. I've got a good example. Like, actually, no, I don't. That's just not going down. That's just not the point I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to say that my reaction to that if someone died, I'd just be okay with it. That's just not the case. I just think
thinking like,
of death and changing your opinion on it makes you live a happier, healthier, more present life.
exactly that. That's the main message, which I think the Eastern world does a lot better than the Western world. So we have some things to learn.
Plus, there could be some really exciting shit on the other side.
Well, yeah.
I mean, anyone who's been on a psychedelic trip will know there's a lot more out there.
Well, and they say when you have, like, you die and then come back to life, then that it's apparently really trippy.
Really?
Yeah.
Look at this.
Whoa.
Show it close to the relief. I got ya. Temple's 1,000 years old. It's crazy how detailed it is. I think, when did you say the carvings were?
14th century. No, see, I do
God,
listen.
You're such a nord.
Built in the 9th, 10th century. 10th century. Carvings on the 14th.
Okay, I am currently dripping with sweat. Feel like I'm about to die, which I'm completely cool with. But I think that's over and out for now. Thanks for listening to our ramblings. We'll be back from another sweaty country in Asia very soon.
Bye.